Let's talk about telling your boss you're going to have a baby. Being authentic, really expressing your feelings and emotions in a manner that doesn't set you up to have the reaction that you don't want from the person you're telling. What am I talking about? It is your intention and how you share your truth that determines 9 times out of 10 how another person will react. So let me give you an example that I came across more than once when I was in the human resources field back in the corporate world. Let's talk about telling your boss you're going to have a baby. Now, I know that 50% of those of you watching probably can't relate to this, but imagine even if you aren't the child bearer, that you are the spouse or partner to the child bearer, and you have to tell your boss that you're going to be out of the office for a period of time in order to take care of this child. Now, in the United States, we don't necessarily have large portions of time to stay at home with our children after they're born, not like some of my international clients do. So this example comes from a US experience. So one day I had an employee come to me, and it was very interesting. I never knew what was going to shadow my door as a human resources professional, and on this day I was super excited to hear her news. She came in and she sat down. Now let me share, she was very timid. She was somewhat turning inward and speaking in a hushed tone, even though we were the only ones in my office. And I said, "What's going on?" She said, "Well, I have to tell you, I'm going to have a baby." She whispered it like it was some terrible thing and as if she didn't want anyone to hear. And I said, "Well, congratulations." And she said, "Yes, we're very excited, but I haven't told anyone yet." Now, as a side note here, I don't understand this thought process at all, because if we're not telling people when something major like that is about to happen for fear of it not happening before the first 3 months is over in the first trimester, then I think that's a really sad example of us not connecting with each other as human beings. That's probably a different YouTube discussion. But we do step into the corporate world in a space of fear often. Fear that someone will not support us, fear that we'll get fired if we speak our truth, fear that something's going to go wrong, or that someone will not believe that we are capable, or that they might even think that we just aren't enough, which is really our own fear. But in this case, I asked her, I said, "Well, shouldn't we be celebrating?" And she said, "I'm afraid to tell my manager." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, I'm afraid to tell him because he's going to worry about how my job is going to be covered when I'm out on maternity leave. And what if he doesn't save the job for me," which by the way is illegal, but what if he doesn't save the job for me, or he gives it to somebody else while I'm gone? And I said, "Well, first of all, that can never happen. Like I said, that would be a violation of our laws. Secondly, what if you shared with him a transition plan for while you're out?" And she sat back and she goes, "Oh, well, what do you mean?" I said, "How you tell your manager about you being out of the office will dictate how he responds to you. So if you are worried about the work being covered, if you are worried about your ability to keep that job upon return from your maternity leave, if you are worried, then your boss, your manager, is likely to be worried too. So let me remind you that like energy attracts like energy. So if you came in and said, "I just needed you to know I'm going to be out on maternity leave and I'll probably be gone for 3 months. I'm due in May, so I wouldn't be back till the end of the summer. And I know this impacts a really peak time of our business season. And I just, I wanted to let you know I'm not going to be here." Well, if I'm the manager and you came in and told me that way, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right. how are we going to get it covered? And oh, I'm worried too. That's the peak time of our season. Yes, I'm so glad you told me. But notice what's just happened. She would set the tone if she told the story that way, if I told the story that way. Let's try it a different way. What if she goes into her manager and says, hey, guess what? I have great news. My partner and I are expecting a baby. Well, the first thing the manager's probably going to do is say, oh, congratulations. And then next step, here we go. I've thought about my maternity leave. I'm going to be leaving in May. I'll be out for 3 months. I've already thought of 3 people that could support the coverage for my role while I'm gone. And I anticipate coming back on a particular date. And I'm really excited to put that plan in place with you. What else would you need for this time off to be successful for the organization? See the difference? Can you feel it? Listen, you set the tone. Your ability to speak your truth in a manner aligned to your intentions, based on a space of empowered confidence and truth and authenticity, is going to be so much more successful and so much more powerful in the workplace than if you were to come into that dialogue from a space of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So keep observing, designers. You've got to figure this out. Am I stepping into trying to speak my truth starting from a space of fear? Or can I begin to speak my truth from a space of confidence and anticipation of success? Happy designing.